There's our intro.
Just that.
I was just thinking, and come and jism. Yeah, that's...
Oh, you just isolate everything except for me just saying come and jism. That would be
actually now we'll use both of those, stack them up side by side, so it just makes it look like you say it all the time. Yeah.
Put a
come and jism. Come and jism.
No, put a beat.
Come and jism. Come and jism.
Put a beat to it.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast. This is your weekly podcast that delivers a minute-by-minute breakdown of the 1986 Transformers movie, and this is episode 83. We are in the thick of the credit sequence here, and we're going to be covering the 1 hour, 22 and 1 second mark, all the way to the 1 hour and 23 minute mark. And guys, there's no time for a nerdy, nostalgic, frivolous intro. Let's just get right into it. I am your host, Aaron.
Oh, I am Ryan.
And hi, I'm Caleb.
And joining us from the Seattle, Washington area, purveyor of stuff and things that are on his mind every week, a delightful commentator of things happening in pop culture, and a longtime lover of the Transformers brand, Mr. Mike Seibert. Welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm Mike Seibert. I've seen the movie a bunch. I'm a really nice person. Want to hang out in an elevator with me?
No. I wondered if you were if you'd listen to that.
Oh, no.
How much have you listened to Caleb's various impressions?
Well, I think it's been quite a bit. I'm picturing him like from Taxi Driver right now, like lifting weights, got a mohawk. Yeah.
No, I have not laughed that hard and that uncontrollably since the Ghost got a job at TJ Maxx. It was just, I mean, it was hilarious.
Oh, good. Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah. Glad to be here with you guys again. This
Possibly insulting, but luckily I think we all feel good about each other.
Or he's just saying that to lure me in closer at TFCon. He's going to corner me.
We'll know based on his hairstyle. So, real quickly before we get into it, if you have never listened to the podcast before, stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin both the image and style that you're used to.
God.
We've been reviewing this movie minute by minute since, you guys won't believe this, April of 2017. Mm-hmm. And this is the final minutes of the movie in the form of the credits sequence. And while we believe these are perfectly respectable episodes in the sense that an episode of the show can be respectable.
Are they boring? We don't know.
We implore you to go back to the beginning. This isn't a time-sensitive podcast. We aren't connected to current events or pop culture, really. The only real connection is that we embrace time, is the time in which it passes in this movie. So I implore you to go back to the beginning, begin your minute-by-minute adventure. Episode 0 is a great place to start.
Yes.
Why not? And rejoin us here at the credits in your own time.
And they're already asleep.
Well, you know what, though, guys? I mean, a lot of folks have done that. Like, you know, our new friend, David Cabal, you know, he recently found the show and started back at the beginning and blitzed through it. And that was really my experience as well. Like, you guys were like, you know, 37 episode in before.
In a row?
God damn it. That never gets old. It literally never gets old. But yeah, no, it's so I mean it happens, and I bet you we're gonna find new fans to connect with, and they can go back and revisit all of this from the beginning.
That is the beauty of it, is that it doesn't really date itself in that way, that like
except when we mention current events.
Okay, well, yeah, except for when that happens. So while you are listening to this podcast, listener, we, the Autopod Decepticast, along with Mike Seibert, are right now we're all in Chicago.
Is this news?
Dateline, Transformers. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. The Autopod Decepticast has news. Let's go to press.
This is the Chicago Sunday episode. We today at some point we'll be doing our little mental movie moment event.
Or we've been escorted from the hotel.
It depends on what that elevator activity looks like.
God damn it!
But this event that event at the TFCon Chicago will be recorded, hopefully, but and shared on a future broadcast. So so that's what's happening right now as you're listening to this.
It's very windy.
Quick
windy in Chicago.
Recap of the last episode here. Last time we talked the soundtrack.
Yes.
We talked the production staff.
That's right.
We talked the art staff, character, background, storyboard,
Partying. That's right. All day long.
Pardon the pun. We're getting right to the nuts and bolts of who actually did the manual labor of this production. Basically, the things we see and hear on screen. And we've kind of divided up duties as to, section by section here. And right as we kick off the top of this minute, Ryan has information that I think he'd like to share about the supervising animation director. Get right into it.
Absolutely. Kozo Morishita is the supervising animation director. First impression after Googling him is that he is like quite the silver fox. I mean, Mike, you can't see this, but like, look at this fucking kicky scarf he's got on.
He's very handsome.
It is.
Handsome and hipster.
Yeah. Absolutely. He joined Toei Animation in 1970. And Toei, for just I know a bunch of us have some stuff on that. Just a brief overview. Received outsourcing from just about every 1980s cartoon you can think of. Abruptly stopped the practice in 1989. Nobody seems to understand why, except Toei is insular and weird. So Kozo was mostly a director early on. He then started working on the Transformers series. And then after that, almost all his 90s work was on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And a lot of Fist of the North Star work in the recent years, which my only exposure to that is the fucking terrible 1987 NES game.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't that a video game?
It is a video game. Okay. It's not good. His wife, the character's walk cycle in that looks like he's prairie dogging a turd. Thank you. Thank you for laughing.
We'll put a YouTube on for that one.
Absolutely. But in the genre of video games, speaking of, he was also the animation staff producer of the 1995 SNES game Chrono Trigger, which is a low-key, very popular game.
Familiar with Chrono Trigger.
Oh, yeah. It's an RPG.
Sorry, Mike. We thought you had something to say for a second, so we all stopped talking.
Nope. Sorry, I was acknowledging that because I loves me some Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah,
I never played it.
It is difficult to get your hands on nowadays.
All right. Well, we'll try for your birthday. Perhaps. So Ryan is a collector of video games. If any listener would like to just approach Ryan with an old video game,
he will take it.
You just sidle up to me and just hand it to me silently. I will take it. You can also hand me cash or dirty panties.
Don't make eye contact.
Don't make eye contact. Say nothing.
Don't touch me. I'll touch you.
That's right.
All right. That's not good. But moving on to the are you done with
the only other thing I was going to talk about the animation directors, which is the section right after that. And here's where we finally get to the old white dudes, which is John Patrick Freeman, who was born in 1916 and lived to 2010. He was 94 when he died, and this is what I was talking about in our last episode.
Ryan's always amazed at people living past like 50 years old, usually.
Well, I don't have any plans.
I know. Yeah.
He was a character animator and storyman who worked at Walt Disney at the age of 22 and won a Golden Globe in 1992 from the Motion Picture Screen Cartoonist Animation Guild. And he basically worked for Hanna-Barbera, Marvel Productions, a bunch of he worked on Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, G.I. Joe, Jim, and Humanoids, My Little Pony. Just again, they're all interrelated. Like in the 80s, it seems like everything came to a hub where everybody started working together in animation. Moving to the next guy, Norm McCabe, another old dude, 1911 to 2006. He was 94. Wow. And I'm like, does Transformers impart some kind of like elixir?
It's the Autobot essence.
It is the Autobot essence.
Yeah.
Ode to Autobot.
Yes.
He worked on Pink Panther, The Bear Who Slept Through Christmas. Does anybody remember that short?
Nope.
That was 1973.
Why would I remember that?
Well, I remember it.
Oh.
Mike, do you remember that?
No clue. That's a blank spot for me. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, this starred Theodore Edward Bear, Ted E. Bear, and it was basically a bear who woke up during hibernation and went to explore Christmas. And I had a scratch and sniff book attached to this. Yeah, I remember specifically. It had a hot chocolate.
I'm going to not scratch nor sniff anything that you own.
I'm going to make a scratch and sniff book, and it's just called Taint.
Oh God.
Okay.
That's
Moving
disgusting.
on. Gerald Moeller. Nothing interesting about this dude. Moving on. Bob Matz lived 1912 to 2003. 91 years old. Okay, I want to play a game with you guys real quick.
Boy.
This is called, he worked on shorts like starting in 1956.
This is Bob Matz you're talking about.
Bob Matz.
Okay.
And I want to play a game called, is this a real short or is this porn?
Okay, and so you want us to all answer, like Aaron will answer, Mike will answer, I answer?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. The first one is nuts and volts.
Aaron.
I'm going to go short.
Mike.
Short.
I'm going to go with short.
You're all right. It was a short in 1964. Well done.
Okay.
The second one is tease for two.
Tease for two. I'm going to go short.
Mike.
Porn.
Porn.
It was a short in 1965.
Fuck.
Got you guys by one.
Aaron
This
was
game
sweating that one, though. I
sucks.
saw he was like, these guys.
Sweating.
Yeah.
The third one is, and you might know about this already. I kind of just gave it away, but Lemon Party.
Oh,
I don't know
man.
that you did. And short?
I'm going short as well.
Caleb.
Come on, Caleb. It's your chance.
Porn.
It is porn.
Yes.
God
It is
damn it.
old men fucking.
Never have I been more happier that I'm right about something that's so disgusting.
Yeah, it is a big, apparently
Oh.
something I've missed out on that is an internet thing where it's just a bunch of
Oh.
real old dudes boning each
Oh,
other.
no. Oh, God.
Lemon party.
Yeah.
All right.
Look that up at work.
Nope.
Okay, number 4, space nuts.
We're still going. Okay.
Space Nuts.
We have 4 more.
All right, let's
Okay.
get through these then.
Porn.
Short.
Short.
It is porn, starring Stormy Daniels and Evan Stone.
Oh, very timely.
Are we keeping
Topical.
score? Nah.
No.
Moving
Number
on.
5, Pink Paradise.
Porn.
That's a short.
Porn.
It is a short. Points to Mike, 1967. I believe it's a Pink Panther related one.
Okay.
Swing Ding Amigo.
That feels just possibly racist sounding to be a short from the 50s. I'm gonna go with short.
I'm going to go porn.
I'm gonna go with Aaron here and say it's a racist short.
It is a racist short from 1966.
Not that porn can't be racist.
No.
It is absolutely, because our next one is Feeling Black.
Oh no.
No.
Oh no.
I'm gonna go porn.
Short.
Short.
It is porn from 2003. That is.
I was hoping so much it wasn't porn that I just went with
Thank you
short.
all for playing with this terrible game.
I don't feel well after that game.
These are the kind of games we'll be playing with the audience at TFCon 2018.
Right now.
As you're listening to this.
All right, our final person here is Margaret Nichols, which, holy shit, a fucking woman, hooray. She died in 2012.
Hooray!
Wait a minute,
But
you're
she's
saying
dead.
it's a.
I'm not saying it's good she died. I'm saying, a woman
Yeah,
on staff.
thank God. Yeah, there's
Yes.
finally a woman on staff.
She started her career in 1959 with Sleeping Beauty. She did Gumby, Speed Buggy, Super Friends, again, Christmas Comes to Pac-Land, the Pac-Man series, G.I. Joe, Jim, Muppet Babies, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, X-Men, Tick, Black Cauldron, and The Little Mermaid.
And Lemon Party.
Absolutely. No, there are no women.
As a camera
There are
person.
no women
That's
in
right.
Lemon
My
Party.
apologies. My apologies.
She was the character key developer in Little Mermaid, which I looked up but can't figure out what that is.
We get into key development this minute, I believe.
All right, and that's all I have for
I think
our animation directors.
Okay.
Does everybody feel disgusting?
That was a great. That is funny how shorts can you can translate it in anything.
I spent too much time doing this and ran that list by my girlfriend, who was actually way better than you guys at it.
Oh, I'm sure.
So the next section that we really start to get into is around story consulting and various production roles. And Mike got the privilege of handling this section. Do you feel good about that, Mike?
Oh, sure. I mean, it was funny because like this section of the credits, there's a lot of these titles that I had no idea what they were. So I actually kind of had more fun looking into what these roles actually are and what they contribute to. I think maybe even more so than some of the folks. But for me, starting off, I have associate story consultants, and these are basically writers. First is Doug Booth. He's known for working on we're playing the hits here: Transformers, G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Conan the Adventurer. All as a writer. So, he's got a couple producer creds as an associate producer on a whole mess of G.I. Joe. Again, a bunch of Conan. Just a lot of 80s cartoons. As near as I could tell, he's still with us, but hasn't done anything since about 2007. So
I mean, these people are allowed to retire.
It's true. Like, that's why I was looking at the IMDb of a lot of these people. And I'm like, oh, you haven't worked for 10. Oh, you're 90 years old. That's why you retired in 1995.
Yeah, the last thing Doug Booth worked on was something called The School for Vampires. It was a TV series, ran for 11 episodes back in 2007. Also on that bill of associate story consultants is somebody named Roger Slifer. And he, same thing, wrote a whole bunch of Transformers, was a co-producer on the RoboCop TV series back in 1988. That would be the cartoon, not that shitty live action, Action Time, whatever the hell it was. Did a lot of My Little Pony. Sadly, Roger is no longer with us. He passed away in March of 2015 at the age of 60. But Roger's claim to fame is that he is the co-creator of the DC Comics character Lobo. Are any of you guys familiar with Lobo?
I am vaguely.
He's basically kind of like the giant, pale Lemmy Kilmister looking bounty hunter type dude. He's all...
He's sort of a Deadpool-ish character, but more like kind of tough guy-ish, less funny guy-ish. But it was violent. It was a violent comic.
Yeah, it was violent, irreverent, and I'd have to really give it some thought, but I think Lobo really was one of the first characters to irreverently break the fourth wall and talk to the audience. Like, I have a Lobo comic from like 1994. It's an issue #1, and everything was all like chromium covers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
I bet that's worth nothing.
Oh yeah, I thought I was gonna pay for college with these, but
I think I actually have that one.
I've used it as wallpaper.
Yeah, so Lobo has a chromium enhanced zipper on his front area, and he's like, I got your cover enhancement right here. So that's nice. That's kind of Lobo in a nutshell. But yeah, Roger Slifer, co-creator of Lobo and story consultant, associate story consultant on Transformers the movie. We move on to production secretaries. Now, Ryan was talking about some ladies. We got a trio of ladies. We got Joyce Masterson, Joan Davis, and Debbie Lehrhoff. And a production secretary is basically let's see. This is more than a traditional secretarial role. It could be less depending upon the production and the company you're working for.
So it's more or less.
More or less. Yeah, see, I was like reading that. I'm like, is that right? It's like, no, just read the copy as I wrote it. Ron Burgundy, come on. The production secretary is responsible for production paperwork, such as typing and filing contracts, letters, documents, and script changes, and photocopying, faxing documents as required. So yeah, basically for all three of these ladies, their only credit on IMDb is Transformers the movie.
Interesting.
And I'm sorry, Joan Davis also worked on My Little Pony the movie. But yeah, this was like their only thing. Next up are a couple translators, and you know what? I didn't go through the amount of drilling and practicing and all that on the pronunciation, so
You did, Ryan, so that's okay.
fuck it, I'm not even going to try it. But basically what a translator does in a movie, there are only 2 credited translators. There are different categories for what constitutes as translation. There's translating written materials, including scripts and articles needed to support the film production. And then there's also dubbing and the creation of subtitles, which could be in several different languages of the film, as well as working on marketing materials. And these 2 ladies, Mitsuko Hayes and Emi Akari, it's the same thing. They worked on Transformers the movie, and there's some season 3 credits, and they're credited as production assistants within the context of the TV show. So I guess maybe that's a movie to TV type of thing. I don't know. Next up is account supervisor. That was Alpha Tate, who also worked on, you guessed it, My Little Pony the movie, and an account supervisor basically oversees corporate client accounts. It's middle management, basically, and it's a job title that's common in advertising and media relations businesses. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an account supervisor, just like at regular people's offices. Let's move on to publicists. There were 2 of them, Ellen Kroner and Deborah L. Green. And again, it's the same thing. Ellen Kroner worked on My Little Pony the movie, and as well as something called a TV series called The Lot from 2001, it looks like. The show opens with a gossip of the day. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what this is, but we're just gonna move on from that. You ever find yourself like,
Okay, great.
I feel like publicist is the stereotypical role of every female character of every
movie
of every romantic comedy.
Yes.
Set
Oh,
in,
yeah.
like, 1998 to 2000.
Oh, it's like putting a man into like advertising.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie job, meaning like somebody that works in a movie has, like a job Jennifer Lopez's character would have, or some such like that.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Jennifer Aniston.
sure.
All the
Garner,
Jennifers.
All the
Jennifer
Jennifers.
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
But yeah, publicists generate detailed publicity campaigns, which pitch and position films for the media and in turn for the public. They create press kits, usually include film synopsises, production notes, cast and crew credits, and biographies, stills, and of course the electronic press kit. It would be interesting to kind of get hands on, kind of like a press kit for what this movie looks like. Because I mean, like, how do you sell this? It's like, it's a movie based upon a kid's cartoon that we're really kind of trying to position not for kids. So it's
Hey kids, would you like to cry? We have the movie for you. Here's a picture of Optimus Prime turning gray.
The press kit is just a box of tissues.
It's absolutely.
Oh my God.
Love it.
So yeah, so let's move on. We're getting into the editing department, starting with supervising film editor Stephen C. Brown. The supervising film editor is hired toward the latter part of principal photography in most cases. The supervising editor is the first point of contact between the director, producers, and the larger editing staff. So
what a nightmare that position must be.
Oh yeah, I mean, so it's very much like a middle management type of thing. So they're not the actual film editor. They're the person that works with everybody, from like the director to the producers and all of that. So Stephen C. Brown, who was the assistant film editor on Transformers the movie, he's known for his work on Dino Riders and Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
Did a lot of 80s cartoons, as well as some Fantasy Island, and as near as I could tell, he's still with us, but who could be certain? So
Stephen Brown's a pretty generic name to try to pin down.
Exactly. Yeah, I kind of stuck to the IMDb, but he basically has a whole mess of editor credits as well as supervising editor credits. So I think it's one of those things that kind of goes in hand there. One of those types of positions. So so let's move on to assistant supervisor post production, and the person that worked on that for Transformers the movie is somebody named Larry Wheeland. Oh God damn it! You hate, like when you go to IMDb and you get like pop up ads. I got like this full page fucking Venom ad coming up.
I know.
Need fucking Venom
I did a bunch of research this week, and every time I went to a new page, I got Venom licking my fucking screen.
And I don't want to go tangents within tangents, but I don't need a Venom movie with no Spider-Man in it about as much as I need a Joker movie with no Batman in it. You can keep all that shit. I don't need any of it.
I knew that was your take because while mowing the lawn yesterday, I listened to your Predator, RoboCop, I guess Venom episode.
Oh yeah. Very cool.
So I know your take on all this.
Yeah,
we're up to speed.
Keep it in its fucking ear. And why does Tom Hardy have to do a goofy voice in every movie he's in? I don't get it. But sorry, we're not talking about Tom Hardy. We're talking about Larry Wheeland, who, wouldn't you know it, as a supervising editor, has a whole lot of 80s cartoon credits, including Inhumanoids, My Little Pony and Friends, G.I. Joe.
Hasbro properties were there's a lot of overlap.
Oh, yeah.
It
seems insular, like just a bunch of people rotating around that orbit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so moving on, next credit is film editor, and it's funny, I found this little write-up about like what the film editor does, and it says, on its most fundamental level, film editing is the art, technique, and practice of assembling shots into a coherent sequence. The job of an editor is not to simply mechanically put pieces of a film together, cut off film slates, or edit dialogue scenes. So yeah, basically David Hankins was the one that did the cutting, the actual cutting and assembly. So he's got.
And never say to these guys, "Oh, you're just an editor."
No way.
They'll take it really personally.
Yeah, and they'll screw up whatever you're doing for them.
So, and doing editing ourselves, it's like, what, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just hacking and slashing, for sure. But David Hankins,
maybe when you do it, our editor's a little different.
I'm blackout drunk when I do it, and then I get texts about what I have to take out.
I should try that. That sounds awesome. Because usually I try editing after I've worked for 8 hours and don't want to look at audio anymore.
Yes.
But no, David Hankins is known for Grosse Point Blank, Miss Congeniality, 2 Weeks Notice, and Eurotrip.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, he did some Red Shoe Diaries back in the day.
David Duchovny.
Yeah, man. God damn it. I may or may not have watched way too much Red Shoe Diaries back in the day.
There was one. Oh God, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but Lieutenant Yar from Star Trek. She had a Red Shoe Diaries episode.
Denise Crosby. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Well, and a very young Matt LeBlanc was in one of those also. Yeah, we could talk about Red Shoe Diaries all day.
Red Shoe Diaries was a softcore porn thing on I think Showtime,
HBO
or Cinemax. Sorry,
HBO.
Oh, HBO. Basically, it was David Duchovny. He was the host, and then he would introduce. He read letters from people who would tell him about sexy stuff, and then you'd see the sexy stuff.
So
he had a dog.
It was in like he would hang out by like this, warm hearthy fire thing. He had like this big velvety chair and stuff like that.
It was great.
It's like so it was great. It was kind of like
famous?
What?
Was he famous, David Duchovny?
No, this is like I'd say a hot 5, 6, 7 years before X-Files.
It was right. I think it was right before X-Files. Yeah.
No, he's saying it was like 5 or 6 years before X.
Well, I don't know. I don't have the information in front of me.
Whatever. Bring me.
Maybe we should. This is not the. Oh, our next project, Red Shoe Diaries.
Yes.
It sounds like an After Dark project.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's gonna be APDC After Dark : Red Shoe Diaries.
Oh my god.
Yeah. No. Ran from 1993 to 1996. BT Dubs. Next up is the supervising music editor, somebody named Mark Shiney, who again is known for all of the 80s cartoons that we already talked about, but also including Real Ghostbusters and Pirates of Dark Water and Defenders of the Earth. Let me see.
Ghostbusters, just on a
Absolutely.
It was a great show.
Now, what, Real Ghostbusters or that shitty
Ghostbusters? The fake Ghostbusters?
Yeah, the not real Ghostbusters. Yeah, that's some bullshit there. Let's see. Moving on. Let's get into music editor. That was Peter Collier. Again, big TV guy. Tom and Jerry Kids Show. More Pirates of Dark Water. Smurfs, Defenders of the Earth. More My Little Pony and Friends. A whole mess of Transformers. Yeah, I mean that's what we're gonna see on and on throughout these throughout the rest of these credits. There's a lot, and it's kind of weird because obviously a lot of these folks were doing double duty, working on the movie as they were working on the TV show. So the next one was Robert Randalls. He's credited as a music editor, but he has a SME after his name.
Yeah.
And
what does that mean?
As near as I could tell, it's a supervising music editor.
Okay.
Okay.
Because if you try to, like I put in his name and it's don't.
Well, then he's competing with Mark Shiney.
Right.
And maybe there can only be one type of situation.
Highlander rules.
And
well,
I don't know.
And it's bizarre because I would imagine that Peter Collier is probably like the head of the music editors. Maybe. Well, because he's credited first. Because then it's Robert Randalls, SME. So it's a riddle wrapped in an enigma. But this guy, see, I don't know. He is known for his work on The Talented Mr. Ripley, The Terminator, 7 and more. So he's got more movie credits.
Yeah. Traditional film.
Did animation.
It's scrolling all through this, it's almost exclusively movies. This guy's I think or at least in my portion, we have our first movie guy and not our first cartoon guy, because he's done music consulting, music editing, supervising music editor. So I don't know. If I were him, I would be kind of mad if I'm credited middle in 3 guys. And the third guy was Robert Mayer, and this dude's a TV guy. A $6 Million Man, Knots Landing, Fame the TV
Knots
series.
Landing.
So, Emergency! So, let's move on. Next credit is supervising sound effects editor. That is a guy named Brian Corsier. And again, more of the same. He's a sound editor, dubbing supervisor. Worked on. Oh, he worked on The Day After in 1983. But no, it's a lot of like. Actually, he doesn't have a robust IMDb. I'm thinking this guy might be dead. His last credit was the Jigsaw Murders in 1989. I don't know what that is.
Sure.
Or retired.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think you actually retire from working on Transformers the movie. I think the only way you get out is by being
die.
dead.
Okay,
I think so.
all right.
Let's see.
I don't know what that means for us.
Oh God, how much longer do I have to live?
So, there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 different sound editors. Going very briefly, I'm not going to name them all by name because time is not on our side, but again, it's the same refrain over and over. A lot of TV, a lot of Hasbro TV. So apologies to all of them and their families because they get the they get the short shrift because we gotta keep moving. Let's move on to dialogue editor. That was Jerry Jacobson and big movie guy. Worked on Demolition Man,
Phoenix.
Altered States, Alien 3, Maverick. Also did some TV. Scrolling through it very briefly, like you got like 21 Jump Street, Hunter, things like that. So this is actually like
Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter, baby.
Wow, I haven't thought about that in forever. Does anyone remember that show?
Yes,
I
I do.
love that show. We have a how like your TV channels will have like their HD channel where it'll be kind of like
Sure.
like your Me TVs or My TV or whatever's. We have a network on one of those called H&I, Heroes and Icons, and they
That sounds amazing.
they like all the Jag you could ever want, all the Hunter you would ever want. You want to sit down and watch NYPD Blue all ding dong day, they got you covered. And they do a lot of they every weeknight they have a block of Star Trek episodes, one from each series. So it's pretty cool. And none of that has to do with Jerry Jacobson and his dialogue
Of
editing.
course. I'm glad I derailed it for
Thank
that.
you. Next up was a re-recording that was done by Todd Au and Glenn Studios. That was they were two separate studios at one point that combined it to be one super studio. It looks like Todd Au and Glenn merged in 1986, right about the time during the production of the movie. I had a little more material on that, but we're just gonna skip through that.
Well, I guess one question I have is, what's the difference between what happens here at Glen and what happens at Wally Burr? Is it that Wally Burr just records, I guess, the actors and then ships those recordings over to Glen,
I think maybe
who
that's
does
where they
the
put
assembly of all the audio? Then
Well, that and maybe they put the effects on it.
Yeah, so Glen is kind of like the clearinghouse for where everything kind of comes together. So,
Right.
Between the sound effects, the dialogue, and actually, no, I'm sorry, I misspoke because Glen was in charge of re-recording and the re-recording mixing team, and that's basically dubbing. So that works with dialogue, sound effects, and mixes them all together. Basically, exactly what we all said. It's like basically this does the final mix of putting everything together into what we would know as the cohesive soundtrack. So Wally Burr was in charge of, dialogue and voice direction and things like that. Eventually, he would take his parts and ship them along with every other department where it would be assembled at Todd Au, Glen, that basically...
that makes sense. So it basically remastered here to like sound right with everything else.
Exactly, and that
And
gets
flow.
and and that gets into the re-recording mixers, and it's an audio engineering. They take recorded dialogue, sound effects, and music, again making the final soundtrack. Pre-dubbing is the process of mixing sound elements so that the final mix leaves less work by creating stems of dialogue, music, and sound effects. So, re-recording mixers, Bill Thiederman worked on Transformers the movie, as well as Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Major League, and Doogie Howser, MD.
I love that show. I started watching that on Hulu again recently.
I never watched it from beginning to end. I think I saw a couple episodes growing up, but I didn't
Oh, so good.
tune in. But I did listen to an interview with Neil Patrick Harris on Mark Maron or something.
In VH.
Recently. Yeah, it was good.
And again, the re-recording mixers, these are all movie guys. So Howard Wilmarth worked on The People Under the Stairs, Transformers the movie, Child's Play 3, and something called Ghost Warrior in the sound department. His last credit was The Crow City of Angels in 1996.
Gross.
Yeah.
Never saw that one.
You're okay. Stay away from candles. Let's see. So, and the last guy on that was Peter Reel. Also worked in the sound department as a re-recording mixer. I kind of talked about that earlier. Did some TV like 6 Feet Under, but also worked on The Nutty Professor, People Under the Stairs, and You, Me, and Dupree. That movie sucks as well. You get Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson in the same room, and I am just vomiting violently. I can't with that. The machine room operator for Transformers the movie was Samuel L. Kaufman, and basically what the machine room operator does is they operate the machine room. So we're in the editing category and the audio editing. So basically this is the guy that runs the tape decks, and reel to reel and all of the other technologies at the time. Worked on Dick Tracy, Meet Joe Black, Spawn. That movie sucks. And
speaking of movies that suck,
yeah, you know what?
This is the run through.
I feel the compulsion to end almost all of these with that movie sucks.
It's okay.
Yeah, and
I will say Dick Tracy, I feel like probably it is also looked at as a movie that sucks, but that's one of the first movies I remember as a kid that had this fully integrated marketing campaign that was just you could not go anywhere without being exposed to some type of Dick Tracy graphics or audio visual and I remember being so hyped. I wanted to see that movie so badly, and when I finally saw it, and
Madonna's in it.
I was just not. I remember it not striking me as very entertaining.
It's one of those movies that involves a bunch of talented people that the movie's fucking terrible.
I wonder if you make that movie today with that exact same aesthetic, meaning like the striking primary colors, and I mean, this is really kind of like a Marvel movie before it was cool.
And it's a little pre-Sin City where
I was getting ready to make that connection with that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it in 20 years, but I'm afraid it doesn't hold up. But I keep thinking that conceptually, there's some meat on that bone. At least as a concept, it sounds cool. Yeah, I wonder how much of that blame lays at Warren Beatty's feet, because I mean he was a notorious raging asshole about it, because he stars in it, he's directing it, and yeah.
Let's just lay it all there.
Yeah,
seems
that's
like
all his fault.
It's all his fault.
Sorry to derail us on the Dick Tracy train.
The last thing I mentioned, the last thing that I had, jumping ahead, was I had main title design. There were 2 people that worked on the main titles, one being Bill Miller and the other being Dina Burkett, and both of them worked on Tron and Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Oh,
and I kind of
makes
see,
sense.
and I see some connective tissue there, at least visually. But yeah, so, and it was weird because like Bill Miller has way more TV credits. Worked on X-Files, 90210, NCIS, Castle, All Over the Road, whereas Dina Burkett has more movie credits. So it's so, and both of them worked on G.I. Joe the movie, by the way. And I think that's the first instance of that crossover, at least in my credits. But yeah, I mean, that title sequence borrows from everything, but it's fucking rad. So it's
absolutely.
So
Do
yes,
they work together as part, like at part of a studio or something like that? I guess we don't really know based on how they've done the credits here.
There's not enough information that I found, at least, to substantiate that, but I would imagine, in my imagination, that's what it was. It's like, somebody from like a TV side and somebody from a movie side kind of collaborated and worked on it. Or maybe it's not that romantic and maybe they just split up parts. Like, I'm going to work on going into the O and you can work on the Superman style credits or whatever's. But yeah, I mean, the only folks that I jumped over were the pre-dub mixers, the dubbing supervisor, and negative cutting. And we talked about that. That's all, having to do with the audios, and that's all I got.
Awesome. Well, thank you for looking into that. That takes us to a very cute logo here.
Yes.
A cat in a almost, I don't know, Three Musketeers hat. Kalen.
I can tell you all about that cat.
Oh, my goodness.
To me, it looks like a pumpkin.
So that is the logo for Toei Animation. That is Pero. They call him Pero. And that is a character from the company's 1969 film Puss in Boots. So Toei Animation is a Japanese animation studio founded in 1948. And it is a division of the Greater Toei Company Limited, which is a Japanese film, television, production, distribution corporation based in Tokyo. Toei owns and operates 34 movie theaters across Japan, studios at Tokyo and Kyoto, and is a shareholder in multiple television companies. It's got anime, it's got live action dramas known as tokusatsu, which uses special visual effects and does historical dramas. It's big. It's one of the Japan's big four film studios. I think Toei's animation bread and butter these days is Dragon Ball Z.
Yes,
seems to be the heavy hitter for them.
Like Kozo Morishita.
Yeah, Sailor Moon, I think Digimon. So there is actually a Toei Animation Museum that opened this summer in Tokyo that you can go to.
God, I want to go to Tokyo.
I want to go to Japan.
I would love to go to Japan.
I just want to hang out in Japan. Toei was a pioneer in the use of Henshin, which is translated character transformation, which is in live action martial arts dramas a technique developed where you essentially, it's a subtrope of the superhero. I just found this is the short rabbit hole I have, and then I'm pretty much done. But it's a subtrope of the superhero in which the superpowered characters only have their superpowers some of the time. A Henshin hero is distinct. Power Rangers is a good example. And then also Henshin is where they have a secret identity and then they will transform.
Like Shazam.
They do a costume change in the live animation, or not animation, in the live film sequence. It's part of their sequence to do that. So I just found that interesting. Henshin, they are kind of known for helping start that.
Oh.
You know
go ahead.
what's also interesting about that is anybody that's watched any of the Japanese Transformers cartoons, whenever somebody goes to transform, that's what they Henshin, and so it's kind of cool to hear some more history about that, because I just assumed that Henshin was just a translation for transform, but I had no idea that there was any kind of like a genre lore behind it. That's really cool.
It literally means change body.
Huh.
And it's practically translated as transformation or metamorphosis. So it's a big part of, I think, Japanese culture, at least in popular storytelling, where there is a transformation that takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So.
They do seem that just seemed to be a theme with Japanese art and like cartoons, where it's like something becomes something else, and like you build upon and you build upon and you build upon.
That's right. That is all I really have to say about Toei. Now we all are going to have to, the four of us are going to have to get together and go to Japan here one of these days.
Absolutely.
We'll go to the Toei
My mom was born in
Animation
Japan.
Museum.
What?
My mother was born in Japan.
That would explain why she's Japanese looking, right?
It's not.
No, she's not Japanese. No.
My grandfather was in the Navy, and she was born in Yokohama on a Navy base.
Okay.
That connects to nothing.
And does that make you half Japanese?
Nope.
Okay. So let's go right into the associate producers here on behalf of Toei Animation. And I know I can't pronounce that right, but I think I'm better with names. Masaharu Ito and Tomo Fukumoto, the associate producers. In general, the producer's job is to kind of plan and manage the budget, resources needed to get the film produced, scheduling, budget, operations, communication among the artists, directors, crew, editors. They're basically accountable to getting everything done that we see on the screen. And both of these gentlemen worked on many animation projects in Japan, including working together on, I don't know what this is, but they both worked on it, so I thought it was worth noting, Pion Pion Maru from 1967 to 1970. I did not follow up on that.
Oh, great.
We have no idea what that is.
But I found it to be an early credit, though, even by the standards of a lot of people that worked on this. So, which brings us to the final checker, and I have a tough time. The credit is final checker / chief animator. Mm-hmm. Which I have a hard time distinguishing that between the animation director, which Ryan spoke on a little bit earlier, maybe it was even that was earlier this episode. Yep. Okay. But at any rate, I think they're basically equivalent in that basically they have overall responsibility for the quality of the product of the animation and delivering a solid performance of the animation team or from the animation team as a whole, making sure that everybody stays on task to the storyboard, character design, background, motion cleanup. All those aspects need to be high quality. And following that is the assistant checkers, and I look at them as kind of animation supervisors who I forgot about that.
I'm sorry.
Wow, Ninja Turtles.
I know, I'm sorry.
The 1990 live action movie was in 1990 anyway. But the assistant checkers, I look at them as supervisors. They kind of support the same goals as the chief animator, but are divided among different teams working on different parts of the movie. The key animators, that's really a senior level position in the animation world. They're still involved in the creative end, but they generally they're more management, but they do ultimately set up what you might call the key frames of animation, which tends to be extremities. If you're going to animate a punch, you might have the first part of the punch and the last part of the punch would be responsible for that. And it's going to be a different set of animators that will fill in the gaps.
Interesting.
So they're senior level animators that basically they know they can plot out what that'll look like, and they'll check on the in-betweeners, but more to come on that.
Okay. Oh, okay. Stay tuned
in the next
for
episode.
Anyone who does not find this completely mind-numbing.
Hey, what are you talking about? We're doing a great job. People are loving this.
Well, I was going to say, speak for yourself, buddy.
The Twitter comments are in, and they love it. So at any rate,
Next time on the Autopod Decepticast.
so it's going to be more about the people who make the movie look so damn good. We've got the in-betweeners, the background people, the camera folk, the inkers, the painters,
The candlestick makers.
So first of all, thank you, Mike Seibert of Mike Seibert Radio for being on the show, and
much better, more professional podcast.
and thanks for being on this program and helping us sort out some of the more technical functions. And thank you for being with us right now as we speak in TFCon Chicago.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the podcast time warp that we're currently in. I feel like I'm like stuck in the Nexus or something like that, and I'm going to hang out with Captain Kirk being a busy
Generations
exactly.
reference.
See, it's no Transformers the movie. Just saying.
Well, we're all in real life together.
IRL,
right
Caleb.
now. And at any rate, to close this one out, listen to our show, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn. Follow us on our social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all of them at APDCAD. Mikey, where can people hang out with you? And may I call you Mikey?
Well, Mike is fine, but no, it's actually it's funny. I at my previous work, I used to do inventory for a living. I was a manager there for a longest time, and that was kind of my thing because we had like 5 different mics that worked in our district. So to kind of distinguish myself, I kind of spent the majority of my 20s being Mikey. So I've learned to deal with that. But no, it's fine. It's all good. Anyway, you can
I've learned to deal with it.
Message received, Mike.
Well, Chucker, eh?
Well, it's one of those things. It's like if people have like a shortened version of their name, it's like, well, hey, do you prefer Michael or this, or I'm like, Mike is fine. So that's always kind of my default answer. But yeah, if you wanted to check out Mike Seibert Radio, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, all at Mike Seibert Radio. I am not the Mars rover guy. That's a different Mike Seibert. But you can follow the podcast on SoundCloud, Google Play, the Stitcher Radio app, and on Apple Podcasts and iTunes, and just like pretty much the same place these folks are, and yeah, that's all I got.
Absolutely. Go check it out. It's great.
All right, well, I think that'll do it. Thanks, everybody. Well, can't wait to talk to you from TFCon.
Oh, in that elevator.
That's right. All right, bye. Okay.
Bye. Oh man, Caleb, I listened to that DJ Wally West thing.
Oh, I'm glad you like that.
That was awesome. I loved
Of course, see, I knew that you would like it because it's music that's tied specifically to a like something on film.
Yeah, it was a little long. I felt it was probably a minute and a half too long.
Oh yeah,
but
I agree.
I was like, that Soundwave solo was pretty great.
I like how that Soundwave solo didn't really need to exist. It was just sort of an extra. That was the one original lyricist type stuff that.
I feel like like maybe Soundwave is his favorite.
Yeah.
Blow cells, where we sell good.